In the early days of Ireland, a time steeped in faith and folklore, lived a man of God named Brendan. He was born in County Kerry, near the wild Atlantic coast, a place where the sea whispers ancient secrets to the shore. Brendan was a holy man, an abbot who founded many monasteries, but his heart was filled with a restless spirit. He was known far and wide as the Navigator for his love of the sea. This wasn't just a casual fondness, it was a deep spiritual calling that pulled him towards the vast unknown waters that stretched out to the west, a mystery that few dared to ponder, let alone explore. The story goes that one evening, another holy man, a visitor named Berinthus, came to Brendan's monastery. He told a tale that set Brendan's soul alight. Berinthus spoke of a journey he had taken to a wondrous island in the ocean, a place he called the Promised Land of the Saints. He described it as a paradise, a land of eternal spring, filled with sweet-smelling flowers, luscious fruits, and a light that never faded. It was a place where the saints lived in perfect peace, a heaven on earth. This story was more than just a traveler's tale for Brendan. It felt like a divine message, a challenge from God himself. Brendan felt a powerful urge to see this blessed land with his own eyes. The idea took hold of him completely, a seed of adventure planted in the fertile ground of his faith. He believed that God was calling him to undertake this perilous voyage, to find this sacred island and confirm its existence. It would be a pilgrimage like no other, a test of his devotion and courage. He spent many days and nights in prayer, asking for guidance and strength for the epic journey that was now forming in his mind. He knew it would be a long and dangerous undertaking, but his faith was stronger than any fear of the unknown. So, with his mind made up and his spirit soaring, Brendan began his preparations. This wasn't to be a simple fishing trip, it was a quest for a divine destination. He gathered his most trusted monks and spoke to them of his vision, of the promised land waiting for them across the waves. He told them they would build a special boat, a curragh, just as their ancestors had done. This vessel would be made of a wooden frame, covered tightly with ox hide stitched together and coated with animal fat to make it waterproof. It was a simple design, but one that was sturdy and flexible, perfect for dancing over the mighty Atlantic swells. Brendan didn't plan to sail alone. For a journey of this magnitude, he needed companions who were as strong in their faith as they were in their bodies. He handpicked a group of 14 monks from his monastery, men he knew to be devout, brave, and resourceful. These were not seasoned sailors in the modern sense, but they were hardy men, used to a life of prayer and hard work, and their trust in Brendan and in God was absolute. They saw the voyage not as a reckless adventure, but as a sacred duty, a chance to witness God's miracles firsthand and to walk in a land touched by heaven itself. Their boat, the curragh, was a marvel of early Irish craftsmanship. It was light enough to be carried, yet strong enough to withstand the ferocious Atlantic storms. It had a single mast, with a square sail to catch the wind, but for the most part, the monks relied on their own strength, pulling on long oars to propel the boat through calm seas and rough waters alike. They packed provisions for a long journey, dried foods, barrels of fresh water, and the tools they would need for repairs. Their most important cargo, however, was their faith, which they carried in their hearts as their true compass and shield against the dangers that lay ahead. The group of monks set out from the coast of Kerry, a small, humble vessel against the immense, powerful ocean. As the green shores of Ireland faded behind them, they entered a world of endless water and sky. Their days were structured around prayer, with regular services held right there on the rolling deck of the curragh. They chanted psalms and read from holy scriptures, their voices a small but defiant sound against the roar of the wind and waves. They were a floating monastery, a small community of believers adrift on a sea of uncertainty, heading towards a destination they had only heard of in stories. Life on the curragh was tough. They faced relentless winds that tore at their sail and monstrous waves that threatened to swallow their small boat whole. They were often cold, wet, and hungry, huddled together for warmth and comfort. Yet their spirits rarely faltered. They told stories to keep their morale up and shared their meager rations without complaint. Their shared purpose bound them together, turning a group of individual monks into a single, determined crew. They were all in this together, their fates intertwined on this epic voyage into the great unknown, guided only by Brendan's leadership and their unwavering belief in their divine mission. After many weeks at sea, the travelers spotted their first piece of land. It was a steep rocky island, and as they drew closer, they were astonished to see that it was completely covered in sheep. There were thousands of them, all remarkably large and white. They called it the Island of Sheep. A mysterious old man greeted them and gave them supplies and advice for the next leg of their journey. He told them to sail on, for this was not the paradise they were looking for, but a place to rest and prepare before continuing their quest for the promised land of the saints. Their next discovery was even more peculiar. They came to an island that was flat and covered in trees, but the air was filled with the sound of beautiful singing. As they explored, they found that the island was inhabited entirely by birds. These were not ordinary birds, they were white as snow and sang holy psalms in perfect harmony. One of the birds spoke to Brendan, explaining that they were the spirits of angels who had remained neutral when Lucifer rebelled against God. Now they were destined to wander the earth as birds until Judgment Day, spending their time praising the Lord with their song. The monks named this place the Land of Birds. The voyage was full of such strange and magical encounters. On one occasion, the monks landed on what they thought was a small, barren island to celebrate Easter Mass. They lit a fire to cook a meal, but as the flames grew hotter, the island began to move. To their horror, they realized they were not on land at all, but on the back of a colossal sea creature, a great whale named Jasconius. The gentle giant had allowed them to rest on its back. From then on, they would return to their friend Jasconius every Easter to celebrate the holy day, a truly unique and moving tradition in the middle of the vast ocean. But not all their encounters were so peaceful. They sailed past a pillar of crystal that rose impossibly high into the sky, shimmering with all the colors of the rainbow. They saw terrifying sea monsters with gaping jaws and sharp teeth that battled each other in the churning waters. On one dark and frightening part of their journey, they even sailed close to the gates of hell itself, a fiery island where demons tormented lost souls, their screams echoing across the water. Through all these trials and wonders, Brendan and his monks held fast to their faith, praying for protection and marveling at the incredible and sometimes terrifying diversity of God's creation. After 7 long years of travel filled with adventure and hardship, Brendan and his crew finally reached their destination. They sailed through a thick bank of fog and emerged into a brilliant light. Before them lay a vast and beautiful land, just as Berinthus had described. The air was sweet, the trees were heavy with fruit, and precious stones littered the ground. This was the land of the blessed, the promised land of the saints. They explored this paradise for 40 days, filled with a deep sense of peace and awe, their long and difficult quest finally rewarded with a glimpse of heaven on earth. Some historians and adventurers believe that this promised land may have been North America. The descriptions of a large, fertile land far across the Atlantic have led many to speculate that Brendan and his monks could have been the first Europeans to reach the continent, centuries before the Vikings or Christopher Columbus. While there is no definitive proof, the idea captures the imagination. Whether fact or fiction, the story of reaching this mysterious new world showcases the incredible ambition and seafaring skill of these early Irish monks who dared to sail into the unknown, guided by their faith. Eventually, an angel appeared to Brendan and told him that his time in the Promised Land was over. He had been granted a vision of this paradise, but he was now to return to Ireland and share the story of what he had seen. The monks loaded their curragh with some of the wondrous fruits and precious jewels from the island as proof of their journey. They sailed back across the Atlantic, their hearts full of the wonders they had witnessed. They returned to Ireland as heroes, their tale of a 7-year voyage to a paradise across the sea becoming an instant and enduring legend. The voyage of St. Brendan is more than just a thrilling adventure story. It is a vital part of Irish culture and history. It reflects the deep Christian faith of the early Irish people, their love for storytelling, and their unshakable belief in a world filled with magic and miracles. For centuries, the tale has been told and retold in manuscripts, poems, and art, inspiring countless generations. It stands as a powerful testament to the courage, faith, and boundless imagination of the Irish people, a timeless story of a quest for the divine that continues to fascinate and inspire us to this day.